Welcome to the Prism Way Studios. We're here on the Hope and 12 podcast.
Yeah.
About to get into step 4 of Criminal Gang Members Anonymous. We got a special guest today, one of our fellow brothers here at the Prism Way. Would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm Jack McFadden.
How much time did you do, Jack?
Nah, I'm Jack McFadden. I did 40 years. I went in 1983, got out in 2023 in June. Like, life's good, man.
On a life without parole sentence,
parole sentence.
We call you a unicorn. You're the unicorn, man. That's the terminology because you know our saying we ain't supposed to be here, but that one's like on an extra level right there. So
that was big time.
Tell them what day you came home.
Man, June 18th.
What was the special
18th.
day?
Yeah.
Wasn't it I think Father's Day or something?
Yeah. Man, I was I was sitting in my cell. I was like, well, that's a lie. I wasn't sitting, man. I was pacing back and forth. But I was like, man, are they even going to let me out today, man? Like, it's a holiday. It's a Sunday, man. You know, they let me out, man.
That's dope.
Welcome home, bro.
Yeah, man. Thank you, bro.
Welcome
Thank
home,
you
man.
very much.
God did.
Yeah,
God did,
definitely. Definitely.
I wasn't even born yet. But listen, praise God.
What about you? What's your name, sir?
My name is Boanergez, and I'm a peer specialist right here at the Prism Way. Hanging out with my bros today, man. I'm glad to be here.
One of our facilitators for the CGA group we have here.
And a facilitator at CGA. Bad, bro.
Can't leave that out.
My name is Bobby Kimbrough, aka Dodger Bob. I'm a peer support specialist / CGA facilitator, and I'm also awesome.
That's right. So wait. So it's Dodger season. So no more Bobby Love. Now it's Dodger
It's
Bob.
always Bobby Love, but it's Dodger Bob, Dodger season.
Man, I like that, man. We got a name for every season. Yeah. So look, Bob. Can you enlighten everybody and tell us about, or actually, what is step 4? Can you?
So the step is. We searched our past thoroughly, make an inventory list of the goods we have done and our wrongs and resentments towards others. And
what does that look like?
So to me, I always refer to me when it comes to the steps because we all got our own way of articulating the steps, right? So when I look at this step, it says search my past thoroughly, meaning I got to search through everything I've done in my life, just like searching through some clothes for some money. So I'm searching my past thoroughly. And as I'm searching, as I continue to find episodes or things that happen in my life, I'm writing it down on a piece of paper. Most of them are like wrongs. Most of them are wrongs are just events that I could remember, events that happened in my life. And while all I'm doing is making an inventory list. I'm making an inventory list. And with this inventory list, it's preparing me for step 5. So the reason why I'm making this inventory list is because I got a lot of baggage. I got a lot of bad that I've done. I got a lot of garbage in my life, and part of working the steps is getting rid of this garbage and continue to start new. So step 1, 2, and 3 has built me up for this right here, and it takes a lot of courage to write these wrongs down, you know what I'm saying, that I've done, and the resentments. In doing my inventory, I didn't have a lot of rights that I did in my life, a lot of goods I've done in my life. So that list was short, but the wrongs and the resentments was long.
You know, it's a good point because, I was in your CJ class, right, at Calipatra, right? And the inventory is good, the wrongs we've done and our resentments. None of us were able to focus on the good. Like as if 99% of our life were bad, which isn't true, right? In all actuality,
I never did make a good list.
Yeah, but in all actuality, it's only a small percentage of the time you were actually doing bad. You know what I mean? Like, you might not have been a great person, but you weren't sitting there shooting, stabbing, selling drugs 24/7. It was a small period of as far as time is concerned, it really didn't accumulate much of the time. Someone pointed it out to me. So, like, when we used to do the good inventory, we used to go around in the circle.
Yeah.
Nobody could say nothing.
Nothing.
So we flipped it. We flipped it, and it was in the chapel one when Husky was still in matter of fact, Juan, they were still facilitating. We flipped it. We said, so we're going to tell you the good about you.
Everybody in
so
the
you
circle.
had to sit and listen. And that's how we were able to do it. And like, before you know it, like, people start saying, oh, I am like that, you know? Yeah. So I think it's important to point out, it's very hard to point out the good we do, right? Like today we could say it a little bit from a better place because of the work we do.
Right.
It's easier to identify. But when we're in the groups, it was difficult. You know? And the other part of this, the wrongs, obviously, we got long list, right?
Yes.
Right.
The resentment part, a lot of people don't understand the importance of resentment. What's the importance of why do you think we have to address the resentments?
Okay, so this is me once again. So with the resentments, I got a lot of resentments in my life. And I came to realize from these resentments, it held me back from a lot of things. It held me back from good. It's a lot of anger, a lot of hurt, a lot of pain, grudges that I held. And I use these resentments. Well, I use my wrongs to justify. I use my resentments to justify my wrongs.
Right.
So I was a hurt dude from the people that I resented, and in my wrongs, I was hurting people. I was robbing. I was stealing. I was abusing people, mentally, physically, emotionally, you name it. Right. So with these resentments, we got to write these resentments down, because once I address these resentments and I heal from those resentments, I'm able to add to the good and no longer do wrong. That's how I work the steps.
Let me ask you, what was resentments? Why do you think it's important?
It's important because it addresses the pain. You know what I mean? So it was a lot of pain that I was going through, you know, with my father leaving, my mom neglecting me, being bullied, you know, my older brother physically abusing me. All these things, man, I resented a lot of people, you know what I mean? And I buried those resentments, and I held on them to so long that I started to take them out on other people.
Right.
And when you start to write those resentments out and you see them on paper, you get to see the people that harmed you, that hurt you.
Exactly.
And then you get to see, like, man, you know, these people still have power over me.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you start to addressing those things, and that's where the healing comes, right? And I was able to have compassion and empathy for the people that harmed me, because they was only doing what was done to them. You know what I mean? And what was done to me, I did it to other people. And then when I was able to get that understanding, that's when the healing process began. And it wasn't easy. It was tough. But like you said, like we was talking about earlier, I couldn't receive anything. I couldn't put anything down that I did good. And another thing was, I couldn't receive anything good. Like when somebody would tell me that I was a good person, and somebody tell me that, you know, that I was smart and I was intelligent, then I'd be like, I couldn't even receive that. I'd be like, nah.
I was the same way.
Yeah, I couldn't receive even somebody saying something good about me, because I was so used to being that bad kid. You know what I'm saying? So your words actually have a lot of power, man.
Right. What about you, Jack? What's that look like?
I mean, for me, especially the resentment part, man, like they both go together so well, because like you can't, like first, man, you're looking at everything you did, making that list, but like, okay, why is there a list? It all starts with the resentments, you know? And that was, I think, the hardest part with me, man. Like, and the list, man, like, you know, it sounds simple. Oh yeah, make a list, but like for me, like, okay, I made a list, and then I was like, oh man, like I got to go back. I got to add this in. I got to add this in. Oh man, now I got to go back and I got to add this in. And like, it just kept going and going and going. And I think, like what you said, I never did make a list of the good. I mean, now it's easy. Like back then, man, like we all knew, man, like what we were doing was wrong. Like, you know, and that's why we're here now, man. We knew what we were doing was wrong. And like you started addressing the resentments. You're like, okay, now I know why I got to here, man. Like you got to have the why before you can fix it. Like until you can face, like, okay, how did I become who I became?
Right.
Like, you know, yeah, I made my own decisions, but at the same time, man,
What's
like,
fueling
how
you?
did you get there?
Like what's fueling you? You know what I mean? Like resentments fuel you.
Yeah, no, and that's,
You know?
it's how we ended up in prison. It's how we got messed up. Like I didn't even know how to face that. Like that was probably the hardest part. Because, like, you know, yeah, it's easy to just go, man, like, yeah, man, you know, mom left. Screw it. I ain't even going to think about it. You know, oh, man, like, they did this. Okay, I ain't even think about it. We all know what it was like, man. All that stuff happens at home. You walk out.
Yeah.
You know, you don't talk about it, man. You don't go talk with the homeboys and, you know, oh, yeah, mom did this. Oh, yeah, mom left, man. Like, yeah, it is what it is. So, like, until you, like, really look at that, man, like, almost that look in the mirror to go, okay, this is why this happened to me, man. Like, I think that was the hardest part, man. The list was hard because you feel guilt. Like, but But being able to face the resentments, man, is also facing, okay, how did I become this person?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, like resentment, right? So once I went to board 3 times, right? And like done, we all of us had to go through 40, 50 self-help groups, right? And they're always asking us, creating timelines and what have you, right?
Right.
Process your childhood trauma, go back to your childhood, see where you went wrong, and see, like, when they first started introducing that to me, I didn't understand it. Like, I'm all right, don't want to face it.
Right.
It's, where do I start? People telling me, give me directions, and it doesn't register.
For
When I started attending college, though, it changed everything for me because I started to understand what they're talking about. Now I was able to apply it. But the main thing that I discovered was the root of everything was the resentment towards my father. My father, you look, he did the best he could. The way he fathered was learned behavior from his father, which I agree with you. You go back and figure out where they went wrong. If you could figure out where you went wrong, that means that something must have happened to them,
right,
for them to be that way. So that's what I did. And that's how I got empathy for him. But one day I was in my cell, and I guess I used to complain about my dad a lot to my cellie. Once you have a cellie for a year or 2 or 3 or 4, I had a 4-year cellie one time. They know everything. And I guess, that accumulated. One day he just said, man, why you talking about your dad so much? Why you hate him so much? Yeah. He said, let me tell you something. For all you know, right now, he's on the couch with the beer in his hand and his feet are kicked up and the remote control's in. He's not even giving you a thought. You're not even on his mind. Why you letting him rent space in your head, right? That was one thing. An AA group, I think they were saying, one of our groups, they came up with this, this quote, and they're like, resentment's like poison, right? It's like you drinking the poison, but expecting them to die.
Right.
Because it kills you from the inside out.
Yeah.
Literally, physically, mentally, emotionally. Yeah. It literally destroys you, right? And then it fuels your behavior, So I said, okay. So I forgave my dad without him saying sorry by doing all these steps, going back to his past, listening to all these stories about my dad, seeing the way his dad was with him. It was passed down. He learned behavior. And so that's how I forgave him without him saying sorry. And then, boom, I was at peace. Yeah. I was free before they let me out of prison. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was free. I finally found some peace because I hated him so much and didn't even know that it was destroying me. So that's why the resentments, that's why they have us process those resentments, because they kill us from the inside out. Like on an unconscious level, you don't even realize the destruction, Yeah. So what about, Boanergez, I want to ask you, how did you work step 4 inside? What did that look like for you?
Inside, I had to first, attend the CGA class within inside. And as I was going through the steps, step 4 came about. I didn't even know how to do step 4 because step 4 was like, I didn't understand step 4. I was thinking it was more like, all right, let me think about my resentments. Let me think about the wrongs I've done, the good things I did. And it was more like a thought process, and then it's gone. But it was like an assignment. It was like, no, you got to write this stuff down and thoroughly look through your past and do a self-inventory about everything that you done wrong, everything that you done good, and all the people that harmed you and that you resent. And that's when it was able to that's when the power came, from that, because it's I can say certain things about what I've done, but when you write that stuff down and you look at it, I don't know. It's something as simple as that. It's a different feeling. You know what I mean? So when I was sitting in that cell, all I had, and I remember at that time my cellie was gone, and it was just me and that paper. You know what I'm saying? It was just me and my wrongs and my resentments, and all the people that I held bitterness to and hatred towards, you know what I'm saying? And that stuff made my heart callous, you know what I mean? to the point that I didn't even want to feel no more. You know what I mean? So looking at that paper, man, it brought a lot of shame. You feel me? It was shameful to look at the stuff that I did and how I harmed people. And that was the hard part, because you don't really want to revisit your past. You know what I mean? Because the past is not just the shameful stuff that you've done, but it's the shameful stuff that happened to you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And
you like basically re-traumatize yourself.
Yeah.
When we're working these lists.
Exactly.
You know?
And you don't want to put that stuff out there, man. You know what I'm saying? I remember being in a CGA class, and it was a gang of people in there, and they asked a question like, you know, what was the most shameful thing that happened to you, or what was one of your fears, or something like that. And nobody wanted to answer that question. You know what I mean? And I was like the only brave soul. At this time, I was kind of like comfortable already with, you know, expressing myself and stuff like that. I really didn't care about what people thought about me around this time. So I let them know, like, man, when I was younger, I got bullied. You know what I'm saying? And I told them that the only reason why I walked around with a tough persona was because I was scared.
Right.
And then
a mask.
Yeah. And then it was like, everybody was looking at me like, bro, like, why would you say that? You know what I'm saying? Like, they was looking at me like, I can't believe you said that. You know what I'm saying?
That's the truth, though.
Yeah. But the thing is, it was one of those things where it's like, I could see the shock in their face. Like, man, I wanted to say that. Really, that's how I really feel. But, you know, I was the one that actually really, you know what I'm saying, put it out there. You know what I'm saying? And that's really what it is. And, you know, making that self-inventory inside allowed me to address issues that could really destroy my life if I got free. You know what I'm saying? If I was to get released out of prison and I didn't address these issues thoroughly, man, they would have smacked me out here. You know what I'm saying? I'd have been in trouble.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Jack, let me ask you, so based on that, how do you work the steps out here now that you're free? How do you work step 4 now that you're free?
What I learned since I've been free, man, is like, I don't know about you, but like for me, like I thought I had like processed, especially like the resentments and stuff, man, like with me. And what I found, man, like what he talked about that first time, man, when you start talking out in front of people, like the first time you start going, okay, yeah, like, man, like this happened, man. My mom used to hit me with this and this and this. Every time I come through, my dad would hit me. Like, you know, I was around here, man. Like I got beat with a stick. I get whatever it was. But the first time you say it, okay, that, like they don't have as much power anymore, right?
Yeah.
So I was very confident, man. Like, okay, yeah, no, I can deal with all this. You know, whether it was my mom, whether it was my stepmom, like, you know, all that. But then I remember, man, like, you know, because my mom, man, like she gave me up when I was 6, you know, and then like my stepmom, man, like that was a nightmare, you know, but like you had to address that, man. Like, you know, I wrote letters, man. Like I was like, man, I'm cool. And then I remember, man, like all in like a 3-week period, man, I got a phone call from my stepmom who hadn't talked to me in 40 years, you know, and you're like, you're like, it's not as easy as I thought it was going to be, man. Like, and maybe I didn't give up those resentments like I thought, man. So it was hard. I was very cordial. Like I was very nice, you know, but like I had to do the same thing again afterwards, man. Like I had to address that, man. Like I spent days, man. Like I talked to, like now though, man, I know how to process. Like I have friends I can talk to. I have people I can work with and go,
right,
hey, look, man, like this is really bothering me, man. I thought I had dealt with this.
Yeah,
and sometimes you think you dealt with it, man, but like you'll find out, man, it doesn't just go away, man, overnight. Just because I wrote some letters and went, man, I feel better. It didn't like it didn't make it. It's not magic. It's not going to just go away.
I think, I don't know about you guys, but I think it's quieter in your head though.
Oh,
like
no,
before
much.
It used to be roaring, like some of these triggers used to be.
Oh, if I wouldn't have done the list before, I wouldn't have been able to deal with it, man. I wouldn't even accepted the call. Yeah. Like I would have just, you know, I know that about myself. Of course, I wouldn't have made it to where I'm at now if I wouldn't have addressed that.
Yeah,
but
a lot of it's residue.
Right.
That's what I like to call it.
And I love that word, you know.
Yeah.
But at the same time, is you got to remember, man, like you have to keep
maintaining.
It's a process.
Process.
Like, you know, is making sure, man, like, you know, you don't forget. just because I use that to get out doesn't mean that I
can't
can just like,
resurface,
right. It's going to happen more and more, you know, and it can come up at, you know, like I said, man, a couple weeks later, man, then I heard from my real mom. I hadn't seen her since I was a kid, right?
Yeah.
You know, so like, you know, the same thing, man. I would have just hung up before, man. But like, you know, I was same thing, man. I was cordial, you know, like I had to call back, you know, so that way I could, you know, first I talked to some people, man. Like that's the biggest thing is making sure you can talk to someone,
Right.
you know, being able to once you can get those words out the first time, like this happened to me, man, you know, it makes it easier. So now you can talk to someone, you can process it.
Yeah.
You know?
So like, you know, we had to process our childhoods in prison, right? Like all of us in this room been to the board process, right?
Yeah.
We had to go over our past, like what happened to us, what shaped our mindset, what shaped our character flaws, therefore our behavior. But there's a lot of things we addressed in there that we needed to because that was what they expected.
Right.
Why'd you join the gang? Why'd you engage in violence? Why'd you use drugs and alcohol? Why'd you mess with women so much? Why'd you, all these things that were negative. But that whole time we weren't even addressing the trauma of prison.
True.
Trauma of living in a cell.
Right.
20, you know, so many hours a day, especially if you're in the back, the shoe, the hole. The trauma of watching people get victimized on that yard.
Yeah.
Murdered, stabbed, beat down, what have you. We might have normalized it. We might have thought we normalized it.
Yeah.
But in reality, that was trauma on us.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
We were traumatized by prison. Keys. Every time we hear keys, you know, triggers us.
Every time.
You know, fast movement. People moving too fast. My body goes a little crazy sometimes.
Loud noises, them sirens, and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
loud
Watching people's
noises.
hands.
Yeah,
And-
Jack likes to watch people's hands. Large crowds. I put my back to the wall sometimes.
yeah.
These type of things is why I was asking the question, like, do you think it's important to work step 4 now that we're out here?
It's
Well,
very important.
based thinking from that standpoint of some of the stuff we've never addressed.
Yeah, because it's
And how can
the
we
same way it helped.
at the same time, how can you do that?
The same way it helped us on the inside address, you know, our childhood and all that type of stuff. Prison itself is trauma. A lot of things we did, it was to heal and stuff. But coming out here, we have to do the same to heal and close certain chapters from our prison life. Just like all that stuff that y'all just said, those triggers and stuff that we had, resentments and things like that. Wrongs, it's just maintenance to me. Like my man say,
right.
swag champ. It's about keeping the maintenance and awareness of what could become if I begin generating another list of resentments, generating another list of wrongs. It's like I got to start all over again. So it's about keeping the maintenance and being aware.
For real.
But like, think about it, right? So, did you do wrong in prison?
Yeah, I did.
Of course.
Do you guys resent some people to this day? Is there some people
I swear,
that
while we were sitting
that
here,
did you dirty in prison?
you know,
Each and every day I gotta
right.
keep the devil in the hole.
I won't say the officers' names, but there's like 4 or 5 of them popped in my head.
What
right?
about the homies?
Yeah.
that's
That
true.
list is long.
What about the backstabbing people in
Yeah,
there? Like
that's why I watch
the
people's
dirty,
hands.
The dirty politics.
Yeah.
There, I
That
was
goes
thinking
on out
about
here.
it. I was thinking about it before today. I was like about getting ready for this episode. I'm like, how do we work step 4 out here? And I started thinking about it. I go, we have new resentments from prison.
Right.
Yeah.
We have new wrongs from prison that we didn't even look at. Because I was thinking about when I was working step 4 inside, I didn't even think about the people that I stabbed in prison.
I didn't.
You know
Right.
why? Because that's just prison. That's
That was
Right.
part of his life.
That's the
It was just what you
lifestyle.
had to. You did what you had
They
to do.
know what's up.
You know,
They're
it
part
was
of the
just
game.
part of the day.
Yeah.
But no, that's a wrong. But also too is I never thought of the good I did in there.
Yeah.
No.
You know, and we did a lot of good, especially
sure.
once we started engaging in these groups and going to college, and you know what I mean. And so like we have to continue working the step out here
For sure.
because now we're addressing the trauma of prison.
Yeah, I seen the good.
You know what I mean?
I seen the good when I started to do my parole packet.
Yeah,
And I was looking at all the certificates and all the programs I did and all the some of the CEOs wrote chronos, and I'm like, damn, I did some good. You feel me?
Yeah.
And
I wouldn't be here if you didn't, bro.
Yeah. And in the beginning, I couldn't think of nothing, right? Yeah. But the self inventory is like, all right, I can. It's never too late to do good. That's what I really got from it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I did so much bad. It's like, all right, I can do good. You know what I mean?
Right.
It ain't too late. You feel me? Like Bobby L. You know what I'm saying? You do a lot of good. You know what I'm saying?
You guys are doing nothing.
But that's what makes it better, though. It's like the more you do that, man, then you start finding the good things, man. Like, oh man, I also did that. And then that's what, like, same sort of thing, man. That's what came up a few times, man. Like, whether it was with my lawyer or whether it was with my law student, man. Like, you're like, nah, I didn't really do that many good things. And they're like, what are you talking about, man? Look at this. You also did this. You also did this.
Yeah.
So when you start really processing that, man, now you start seeing it more.
Yeah.
Now, okay, man, whether it's like talking to a guy with his kid one day, man, when they walked away, man, the kid and the father were talking because of just the stuff that I said, and you start like, man, like that was something cool.
Yeah, we don't give ourselves enough credit.
Yeah, exactly. Man. But it's easier now. The more you do it, it's easier for me to go, okay, man, like, it's okay, man.
But
like,
now through humility, we're able to see what we do, like.
That good, it becomes your identity now.
Yeah.
Because remember all the negative stuff we did, it became our identity. You're like, man, it's crazy, right? Because we all had like gang names and monikers, right? And we actually lived out those names, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And like
now today you peer support specialist.
Yeah, you live out that name, you know what I'm saying?
That's your new handle.
On the rear. That's my new handle, you know what I mean? And
Beside Boanergez Boanergez.
Yes.
Straight up. You know what I mean? Yeah. We created a new swag for ourselves, you know what I mean? So it's cool though because you create an identity about yourself in the past life and it really becomes who you are, you know what I'm saying? And it's hard for you to detach from that.
Man.
You know what I'm saying? And
nice.
Yeah, you heard that?
That's downtown Los Angeles.
Man,
what was that? Was that a Hellcat?
Yeah, probably.
It could have been.
Scat or something.
We're trying to get on that level.
On the real. And like your old self, that engine to rev up like that. You know what I'm saying? On the real.
If anyone wants to know what it's like when you're triggered, that's what it sounds like inside your body.
That's how fast it happens. Just like that.
Yeah. You got to turn the ignition off on it. You know what I'm saying? You got to let them know.
Yeah.
You ain't in charge no more. You know what I'm saying?
No,
but I like that though. I like through these steps, because we work these steps, we're able to create a new identity.
Straight up.
I mean, we're able to let go of the old. Walk away from the old us, create a new identity through a new purpose. The old purpose was gangs, criminality, prison politics, and our identity was linked to that. And then today, our new identity is linked to this new purpose we have, which is to help deliver what we received. You know what I mean? They say blessings from God are not meant to stay with you; they're meant to flow through you.
For sure.
Right? So that's what we're trying to do here today.
Straight up.
I think the biggest thing, man, is like now I can actually say, man, like I'm proud of who I am now.
Yeah.
Like being able to do that, like compared to who we were before, not being able to find any good.
Yeah.
To be able to say, man, no, I'm proud of who I am now.
I'm proud of you too, brother.
Man.
Proud of all you guys.
Man, all you guys.
Likewise, brother.
Everybody.
Yeah, so we're here. We're gonna go ahead and close. I'm Ray Shepard.
You know what I mean?
Got my brothers right here. Super proud of them.
What up?
We always have great
You
conversations.
understand me?
Yeah.
Even when we're not on the mic, they should hear what we talk about. But we could only capture just a little bit. But we're right here in Prism Way Studios, Hope in 12 podcast, trying to give hope to the hopeless, working the 12 steps. And that's the end of step 4. Stay tuned for step 5.
Thank y'all.
All right,
All right, brothers.
Thank you, brother.
That's how you finish.
That's Charlie's laugh.